There are symbols that pass before our eyes every day, silent, subtle, seemingly ordinary, and yet they hold stories so deep that they have shaped the destiny of entire nations. Among them, there is one that has become omnipresent, repeated across millions of $1 bills circulating around the world, touched by hands that never thought to question it, a symbol that watches, that observes, that sees. It sits atop an unfinished pyramid, crowned by a single open eye, an eye that feels as if it looks through time itself, the Eye of Providence. Some say it represents God guiding humanity. Others swear it is the mark of a secret order that directs the fate of the world from the shadows. And there are those who believe it is the signature of a silent pact made at the founding of the United States, a pact between faith, power, and the unknown. This image, so small and yet so powerful, traces its roots to civilizations older than the world we know today, older than banks, governments, or even the idea of America itself. Ancient cultures used the all-seeing eye as a symbol of divine observation and spiritual authority, but also of control. And that is why some believe that nothing on the Great Seal of the United States was placed there by accident. Every line, every shape, every Latin word carries weight. Annuit coeptis, he has favored our undertaking. Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages. But what exactly is this new order? A promise of freedom? Or the birth of a silent power shaping the world from behind the veil? Millions of people handle this symbol every day without noticing. Few ever stop to ask, who chose this symbol? Why this one? And what does it still mean today? Because a symbol this enduring does not survive by accident. It lives, it adapts, it influences. And perhaps, behind the simplicity of a $1 bill, there is a story that was never meant to be told completely, a story some would prefer to keep hidden. Today, we will look directly into the center of that eye, because once you see what this symbol really represents, you will never see it the same way again. When the United States was still only an idea, a territory in dispute, a nation waiting to be born, its founders understood that a country cannot be built only with laws or armies. A nation needs symbols, images capable of transmitting identity, belief, destiny. And among the men who shaped this new country were scholars, philosophers, and initiates of secret fraternities, men like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and Charles Thomson. They were deeply influenced by the Enlightenment and by esoteric traditions preserved in Masonic lodges and Hermetic circles. They believed that truth was never meant to be shown openly to the masses. Truth was layered, hidden, protected, revealed only to those who were prepared to see. When the founders met to design the Great Seal of the United States, they were not simply drawing a graphic emblem, they were determining the spiritual signature of the nation. And at the heart of this symbol, they placed a pyramid, but not a complete one, an unfinished pyramid, a structure that rises layer by layer, but whose apex is missing. In ancient symbolism, a pyramid does not only represent architecture, it represents hierarchy, construction, the ascent of humanity toward a higher state. The base is the many, the land, the people, the institutions. The upper levels grow narrower, fewer individuals, more concentrated power. And the apex is the one, the mind, the architect, the guiding intelligence. But in the Great Seal, the apex is absent, a deliberate emptiness, a sign that the project of the nation, the world order, or humanity itself was not yet complete. Floating above the unfinished pyramid is the eye, the all-seeing eye, the eye that observes without being seen. It is a symbol older than Christianity, older than Rome, older even than the pyramids of America. In Egypt, it was the Eye of Horus, the symbol of vision that transcends death and matter. In medieval Christianity, the eye inside a triangle represented the divine presence watching over humanity. But here, in the American Seal, the eye is separated, detached, suspended above the world of men, as if belonging to a realm of intelligence beyond human authority. Some say this eye represents God guiding the destiny of the United States, but historians and researchers of esoteric traditions point to something else. They note the founders' ties to Freemasonry, where the all-seeing eye is not simply God, but the symbol of a higher order of knowledge, an unseen architect, a consciousness guiding human development from above. Now observe the Latin inscriptions, Annuit Coeptis. He has favored our undertaking. But who is he? God? Fate? Or a hidden order of initiates who believed they were building something far greater than a government? Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages, not a new country, a new era, a restructuring of how mankind organizes itself. This seal remained mostly unknown to the public for over 150 years, until the 1930s. A moment of crisis, economic collapse, fear. The United States was vulnerable, and it was exactly at this moment that the eye and the pyramid were placed onto the $1 bill, not in a book, not in a temple, not in a monument, but on money, the most circulated object in modern civilization, a symbol hidden in plain sight, carried daily, touched daily, ignored daily, a silent message, a reminder, a question. Since then, historians, theologians, and conspiracy theorists have debated the meaning of this emblem. Does it represent divine protection or silent control? Hope or surveillance? Freedom? Or a power that prefers to remain unseen? The truth is that symbols endure only when they continue to serve a purpose, and the purpose of this symbol is not history. It is influence. The pyramid is still unfinished. The new order is still being built, and the eye is still watching. To understand the true power of the eye above the pyramid, we must first recognize that symbols are not designed to be obvious. Their purpose is not to inform, but to influence, not to explain but to shape perception. Symbols operate in the deepest layers of the human mind, where beliefs form before we can describe them. And this is exactly how the symbol on the Great Seal functions. A silent reminder, a presence, a question that lingers without an answer. Who watches? Who directs? Who completes the pyramid? Let us begin with the pyramid itself. Throughout history, pyramids have symbolized far more than monumental architecture. They represent the construction of power, spiritual, political, and psychological. At the foundation, we have the many, the population, the structures, the visible world. As we ascend, the layers shrink. Fewer individuals, fewer institutions, greater concentration of authority. The apex is the one, the highest decision, the mind above all others. A pyramid is the map of hierarchy, not of stone, but of control. And in the Great Seal, that apex is missing deliberately. The pyramid is unfinished. The project is ongoing. The world is still being built. The question is, by whom? Now look at the eye. The eye is not attached to the pyramid. It floats, separate, elevated. In ancient Egypt, the Eye of Horus symbolized spiritual sight, protection, and divine kingship, the ruler chosen by the heavens. In medieval Christianity, the all-seeing eye represented God watching humanity. But here, in the American Seal, the eye exists without a face, without a name, without a declared identity. It is observation without explanation. For some, this represents God guiding the nation. For others, especially those who study Hermetic symbolism and Masonic tradition, the eye represents illumination itself, not the rule of a deity, but the rule of those who see what others cannot. The eye is consciousness, awareness, the unseen architect. And this brings us to the inscriptions. Annuit Coeptis. He has favored our undertaking. The identity of he is intentionally left undefined. If the symbol represented God, it would say so. It does not. It leaves the subject open, as if addressed to those who already know. Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages, not a new government, not a new country, a new world structure, a transformation of how power moves and who directs it. These are not phrases of patriotism, they are declarations of purpose. Now return to the eye. In many esoteric traditions, the eye symbolizes the awakened mind, the mind that sees what others overlook. The eye is placed above the pyramid because consciousness is meant to rule over structure, not the other way around. The symbol suggests that there is a guiding intelligence, not necessarily divine, that monitors the progress of human civilization as it climbs toward completion. And now consider where this symbol lives. Not in temples, not in archives, not in universities, but on currency, on the object that defines value, exchange, survival, ambition, desire. Money moves nations. Money builds empires. Money directs wars and choices and dreams, and the eye is on it, seeing, watching, present. This placement is not aesthetic. It is psychological. A symbol repeated enough times becomes invisible, and once invisible, it becomes powerful. Because influence works best when it is not noticed. When a symbol becomes normal, it has already succeeded. And so the question becomes the one that shadows every interpretation of the Great Seal. If the pyramid is unfinished, what or who is meant to complete it? The answer is not in the past. It is unfolding now. The eye remains open. When a symbol survives across centuries, across cultures, across languages, it is not coincidence, it is continuity. The eye and the pyramid are not American inventions. They are echoes, the latest expression of something far older. To understand their power, we must trace where they came from. In ancient Egypt, the Eye of Horus represented spiritual vision, divine kingship, and protection over the journey of life and death. Priests painted the eye on funerary boats to guide the deceased to the afterlife. The eye watched not only the body but the soul. It was both guidance and judgment, a symbol not just of light, but of awareness. Later in Greece and Rome, symbols of the all-seeing eye appeared again, this time tied to temples, civic order, and the authority of the gods. And during the Middle Ages and Renaissance, the eye took on a new form, a radiant eye inside a triangle. This symbol appeared in Christian art as the Eye of Providence, a sign that God watches all. But this same symbol also appears in the manuscripts and architecture of Hermetic alchemists and early Masonic lodges. There, the triangle did not represent the Holy Trinity. It represented a higher order of knowledge, something not given to the masses, but earned through initiation. And this is where the trail leads directly to the founders of the United States. Many of the men involved in shaping the early identity of the new nation were scholars of ancient philosophy, symbolism, geometry, and esoteric thought. Some were Masons, others were not members, but were influenced by their ideas. They believed that power should not be declared. It should be signaled, encoded, hidden in plain sight. In Masonic symbolism, the eye is not simply God. It represents the great architect, the unseen intelligence that shapes reality, a force that guides the construction of the world, layer by layer, mind by mind. Now combine this with the unfinished pyramid. A pyramid represents structure, order rising out of chaos, the idea that civilization itself is a project, not yet completed. The top is missing because the work is ongoing. Humanity is not finished. The world is not finished. Something or someone is guiding the ascent. Then, in the late 1700s, whispers began to circulate in Europe of a new movement, a society of intellectuals who sought to remake the world through reason, science, and influence, rather than monarchy or religion. They became known as the Illuminati. Their official existence was brief. Their documents were seized, their meetings banned. But ideas are not destroyed by force. They spread, they adapt, they go underground. And the concept of a hidden order shaping history from behind the scenes took root in the Western imagination. This idea converged perfectly with the eye and the pyramid, symbols of power that does not speak but watches. Whether or not the Illuminati survived does not matter. The symbol itself became the idea. The eye became shorthand for unseen power, authority without a face, influence without declaration. Now move forward to the modern era. The eye re-emerges everywhere, but this time not in temples or manuscripts, in media, in music, in film, in fashion. A new generation sees the eye not as sacred, but as iconic, a mark of mystery, rebellion, forbidden knowledge. Celebrities make the symbol. Artists wear it. Directors place it in frames just long enough to be noticed, but not long enough to be addressed. It becomes familiar, and what is familiar becomes accepted. And while the symbol spreads culturally, the world moves into a new stage of power, the digital age. Surveillance no longer requires towers or guards. It requires data. Every movement, every purchase, every message, every thought measured by patterns. The eye, once symbolic, becomes technological. The pyramid, once stone, becomes network. The apex is no longer a single ruler, but a system. And the eye remains open, watching not from temples, but from screens. The unfinished pyramid is no longer a metaphor, it is our moment in history. The apex has not yet been placed. The question is the same as it has always been: who or what will complete it? The answer is not in the past, it is unfolding now. The pyramid remains unfinished, the eye remains open, and the symbol continues its silent work, present in our hands, our transactions, our culture, our institutions. It has survived revolutions, religions, empires, and technological ages, not by accident but by purpose. It is more than a drawing, it is a message, a reminder that there is always something above us, a force, a will, a plan. For some, that force is divine protection, a sign that humanity is guided toward a higher destiny. For others, it is the mark of hidden power, influence without a name, direction without explanation, authority without visibility. Whether the eye represents God, order, consciousness, fate, or a network of unseen architects, its meaning does not fade. It adapts, it evolves, it watches. And perhaps that is the most unsettling truth. The power of the symbol is not in what it reveals, but in what it withholds. It does not tell you who watches. It does not tell you who completes the pyramid. It does not tell you what the new order of the ages truly is. It simply waits. And the moment you become aware of it, you realize something. Once you see the eye sees you. This is where most stop looking, but symbols rarely stand alone. Where one appears, others follow. The eye is only the first marker in a map that stretches across cathedrals, ancient temples, Renaissance paintings, city architecture, and even the geometry of the human body. The next symbol is not about watching the world. It is about transforming it from within. It's a symbol that does not observe but awakens. A symbol that does not look outward, but inward. And its power has been known for thousands of years, though its meaning has been obscured, distorted, and forgotten. Not by accident, but by design. If you are ready to continue this path of understanding, then the next step is clear. Look again. Look deeper. Because the next symbol reveals not who watches us, but who we are meant to become. In the next chapter, we uncover the pentagram, the symbol of power, spirit, and the hidden architecture of the self.